House will come to order. All members, please come to the floor. All members, please come to the floor. The hour for convening having arrived. All members will please take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members now voted? It's a long way from Columbus. You got to start earlier. All members now voted. All members voted. If so, Mr. Clerk, will you lock the machine? Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? Day 39. You have a motion there, Mr. Leader? It might work. It just might work. Thank you for your patience and your service to the people of Georgia this year. I'll say that again, but you deserve it. You've done great work. If we can, we'll continue the process and move some bills across the hall and back, and we'll serve the people of Georgia well. As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by our chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 4th House District, Representative Casey Carpenter. Representative Carpenter.
Friends of this house, it is my honor to introduce my friend, Pastor Stan Lester. Stan is the lead pastor of Cross Point Church and is an avid fan of Georgia Southern football, where his son Evan plays. I spent Sunday in Pastor Stan's church, and I could not help but think about Christ entering Jerusalem to the applause on Palm Sunday, and then a week later, that same crowd wanted to crucify him. As we go through the next 2 days, don't forget the mob can turn on you on a dime. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, Pastor Stan Lester.
Be careful. Yeah, exactly. Speaker Burns, thank you for this privilege and this honor of sharing with this amazing group today. Thank you, Representative Carpenter, for your passionate and your consistent leadership representing the people of our area. And to each of you that serve, thank you for all that you do for the great state of Georgia. To our guests here today, thank you for being here. In the late 1800s, William Astor and his wife were traveling on a stormy night. As they were traveling, it got so dangerous that they stopped to spend the night at a simple, small hotel. When they walked in, they were met by a receptionist. The receptionist said to them, "We have no rooms tonight." Astor and his wife looked and said, "Sir, we're in a very dangerous place and we need to spend the night." He said, "Sir, we have no rooms." Contacted the hotels in the area and all of them were empty as well. One more final plea from William as he said to the receptionist, "Sir, do you have anything?" As he started to leave, the receptionist looked at him and said, "Sir, I have a room. It's a private room. It's my room. I'm working third shift tonight, and you're welcome to use that room if you would like it. It's simple. There's not much to it, but you can have it." William and his wife took the room that night. They cleaned it up, took the bags. The next morning, the storm had passed. As they were walking out, he saw the receptionist standing there finishing up his shift. He looked at him and he said, "Young man, it's not enough to manage or to be a receptionist at this hotel." He said, "You should be running the best hotel in the United States of America. I'm going to build that hotel. And when I build that hotel, I'm going to make you the CEO." 2 years later, the receptionist got a letter in the mail with a ticket to New York City. Also in that envelope was a letter inviting him to meet William in New York City. When the man arrived, William found him and took him to a large hotel and pointed at it and said, "This is what I built for you." He looked at it, he said, "I'm confused." He said, "I told you you were going to manage the best hotel in America." The receptionist said, "I'm still confused." He took him in and he showed him a door that said CEO. He said, "This is your office. The next time you're in New York City, take a walk down Park Avenue. Stop at 301 Park Avenue and look up, and you'll see the Waldorf Astoria, built by William Waldorf Astor. If you walk in, you'll see some history. You'll read some things about the first CEO, a receptionist named George Charles Bolt, a man who became CEO because on a rainy night he served someone that needed to be served. Bolt became the CEO because he understood what it meant to be a servant. Many of you share the same faith that I share, and on this week of Passions, this Holy Week, we are headed toward a moment when we're going to celebrate a resurrected King. It's a time when we're going to recognize one that has changed our life. And you could say a lot of things about Jesus. You could call him a great leader, a great revolutionary, a mighty man. But maybe at the top of the list of the things that we would say about Jesus is he was a servant. On the week of Passions, as he was headed into Jerusalem, he's going in to be betrayed by close followers, be rejected by his own people, be executed on a cross. A mom with two sons turns Scripture into a moment where it looks like election year as she goes and she says to Jesus, "Would you allow my two sons to sit on your right and your left?" She says, "I know you like Matthew and I know you like Simon Peter, but what about James and John?" And Jesus says to her, he says, "Anybody can sit in the place of greatness in the kingdom. If you want to be great in the kingdom, you have to be a servant." The story of Charles Bolt and William Astor reminds us that great servants always do the humble thing. People who are the greatest servants are the ones who humble themselves and serve with a heart of willing humility. It's often the unnoticed thing. It's often the trivial thing that others don't recognize. Sometimes it's the thing that should have been done but hasn't been done, but it's always the humble thing. It's the thing that marks the life of Jesus Christ. It's the thing that made him the revolutionary that he was and that he is. Jesus is celebrating the Passover, and in the evening he gets up and he takes a towel and he wraps it around him and he serves those that are following him. And while everyone is attempting to climb to the top, Jesus kneels down and he picks up a towel and he serves. Maybe the missing trait of leadership in America is humility. Humility says, I need God. Humility says we need one another. Humility says we need people that aren't like us. Humility says we need people that think differently than us. It's pride that says we don't need one another. Great servants are not only humble, great servants do the necessary thing. We become better when we find a need and meet it, when we find a hurt and heal it, when we find a problem and solve it. In Mark chapter 10, the Bible says of Jesus that he didn't come to be served, but he come to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. Was it difficult? Yes. Was it painful? Without question. Was it heartbreaking? No doubt. Was it necessary? Absolutely. It was what made the receptionist that night say to William Astor, I'll serve you. I'll give you my room. It's what made Astor say to the receptionist 2 years later, this is where you're going to serve now. Charles Plumb was a U.S. fighter pilot in the Vietnam War. He completed 75 missions and 75 flights. After 75 flights, he was shot down over enemy territory in Vietnam and was a Vietnam prisoner of war for 6 years. After 6 years, he was released. One day when he got back home, he saw a man that walked up to him and he said to him, Sir, you're Plumb, aren't you? He said, Yes, I am. He said, I know you. Plumb was confused and he said, How do you know me? And he began to talk to him about what he did. He said, You flew fighter jets in Vietnam. He said, Yeah, I'm more confused now than I was before. He said, You flew them off the Kitty Hawk. You were shot down in Vietnam and you spent 6 years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam. Plumb said, That's correct. How do you know this? And the guy paused and looked at him and he said, Because, sir, I was the one that packed your parachute. Plumb looked at him and he said, Well, if you hadn't done a good job, I wouldn't be here today. Charles Plumb went around the country and shared motivational speeches and talks. And he ended every time with this question: whose parachute are you packing? We sit here today because we're servants. We sit here today because we serve the people that have sent us here. The greatest thing that we can do is be humble and be people who understand that being present in the moment is important, because great leaders also do the difficult thing. One of my favorite Dr. King quotes is this: on some positions, cowardice asks the question, is it expedient? And then expedience comes along and asks the question, is it politic? And then vanity asks the question, is it popular? And then conscience asks the question, is it right? There comes a time when we must take the position that it's neither safe, nor politic, nor popular. But he must do what he must do because conscience tells him it's the right thing to do. A leadership axiom says the right thing is always the right thing. And as great leaders, as great servants, that's what we do. We do the right thing. As leaders, we're called to do the right thing not because it's easy or fun or exciting, but because it's right. Sometimes we'll be misunderstood. At times we'll be misrepresented. And sometimes we'll be underappreciated. Talk about the Holy Week and the week of Passion that leads to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ and then ultimately his resurrection. Hebrews says it this way: who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame. And he's now sat down at the right hand of the Father. Today, as you do the work of the people, stay humble. Do the difficult thing. Do the right thing. Because the right thing's always the right thing. And that's what servants do. Would you stand with me and let's pray together? Father, I thank you on this day for the men and women that sit on this floor. I thank you for their service. I thank you for their heart for the people. I thank you for their commitment to spend time and energy and effort to do the right thing. And so as they go about the day, I pray that they would have the voice of your Holy Spirit, the wisdom of the Father, the fellowship of one another, that God, they would do the right thing even when it's a difficult thing, even when it may be a tough thing. I pray, God, that you would give them grace, favor, and blessing. And God, I thank you for the leadership that's represented in this room today. and I declare your favor, your grace, and your blessing over them in Jesus' name. Let's share in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Stan, for those words of direction and encouragement. We appreciate you being here. Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors. Members, of course, you may join Brother Stan in the South Anteroom. Thank him for being with us today and his words. And have a photo if that so suits you. So. Members, we have a doctor of the day downstairs who's here to serve us. That doctor of the day is Dr. Head, and she's here at the invitation of Representative Park Cannon. So if you need those services, be sure and look her up. But we also want to thank her for her service here today. And we'll have another. Thank you, Representative Cannon. I didn't see you. I want to thank you for inviting Dr. Head. Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, is recognized. Chairman Tarvin.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And here on day 39, I want everybody to remember that the expert at every task has failed more times than the beginner has even ever tried.
Keep on trying, there's no doubt about that. And sometimes I'm wondering about the experts. Thank you, Chairman Tarvin. Chairman Tarvin, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits, reports that the journal of the previous legislative day has been read and found to be correct. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Station of the 104th moves following me establishes the order of business during the first part of period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there any objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? The chair hears none. The resolution is adopted. First reading of bills and resolutions. Mr. Clerk will read.
House Bill 1509 by Representative Saints, the 180th, Daniel, the 117th, and Richardson, the 125th. Bill be titled Act to amend Code Section 22-161.3 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to Dual Enrollment Act.
Education.
House Bill 1510 by Representative Chokus, the 151st, and Collins, the 71st. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 5 of Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to government, transparency, and campaign finance.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 1511 by Representative Jaspers, the 11th, Ballinger, the 23rd, Powell, the 33rd, Lott, the 131st, Newton, the 127th. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 41 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to nuisances.
Governmental affairs.
House Bill 1512 by Representative Limmer, the 98th, Lupton, of the 83rd, Fry, the 122nd. Bill be titled Act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 4, Title 49 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to medical assistance generally.
Public and community health.
House Bill 1513 by Representative Limmer, the 98th, Lupton, of the 83rd, Fry, the 122nd. Bill be titled Act to amend Chapter 7 of Title 31 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to regulation and construction of hospitals.
Health.
House Bill 1514 by Representative Limmer, the 98th, Lupton, of the 83rd, Fry, the 122nd. Bill be titled Act to amend Title 35 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to is to authorize county and municipal law enforcement agencies.
Public safety and homeland security.
House Resolution 1584 by Representative Anulowitz, the 42nd, Seaball, the 34th, Stone of the 40th, Parsons the 44th, Wilkerson the 38th, and others. A resolution honoring the life of Chairman Tim Lee and dedicating an interchange in his memory.
Transportation.
That completes first readers.
Second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1505 by Representative Cummings of the 39th, a bill relating to prohibited use of purchasers' credit card information by merchant. House Bill 1506 by Representative Bell of the 75th, a bill relating to dangerous instrumentalities and practices. House Bill 1507 by Representative Bell of the 75th, a bill relating to minimum wage law. House Bill 1508 by Representative Kelly of the 16th and Rhodes of the 124th, a bill relating to trout license, Georgia waterfowl and migratory bird stamp, big game license, and alligator harvest permit. House Bill 1563, House Resolution 1563 by Representative Westbrook of the 163rd, Gamble of the 15th, Green of the 154th, Stevens of the 164th, Cannon of the 172nd, and others. Resolution creating the House Study Committee on Georgia Creative Economy. House Resolution 1564 by Representative Bennett of the 94th, Dickey of the 145th, Carter of the 93rd, Cameron of the 1st, Lewis Ward of the 115th. A resolution creating the House Summit on Hunger and Food Insecurity. House Resolution 1565 by Representative Okoye of the 102nd, Adenia of the 110th, Lallier of the 59th, Adesanya of the 43rd, McLean of the 109th. A resolution designating March 21st as Georgia Nigerian Day. House Resolution 1566 by Representative Neal of the 79th, Willis of the 55th, Dickey of the 145th. A resolution creating the House Study Committee on Tax Credits for convenience stores and qualified low-income census tracts that sell produce. Senate Bill 567 by Senator Summers of the 13th, a bill to authorize the assessment and collection of a technology fee by the Magistrate Court of Lee County. Senate Bill 579 by Senator Summers of the 13th, a bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the City of Cordele. Senate Bill 580 by Senator Strickland of the 17th, a bill to provide a new charter for the City of Madison. Senate Bill 584 by Senator Jones of the 10th, a bill to provide for a new homestead exemptions from City of Stockbridge ad valorem taxes for municipal purposes for residents, certain seniors, and residents with septic systems, through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. The clerk will read.
Representative Robert Dickey, the 145th District Chairman of the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has had under its consideration following resolutions of the House. Instruct the committee to report the same back to the House with following recommendations. House Resolution 1505 do pass. House Resolution 1564 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Robert Dickey, the 145th District, Chairman. Representative Josh Bonner, the 73rd District, Chairman of the Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Defense and Veteran Affairs has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 203 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Josh Bonner of the 73rd District, Chairman. Representative Ron Stevens of the 164th District, Chairman of the Committee on Economic Development and Tourism, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Economic Development and Tourism has had under its consideration the following resolution of the House. Instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Resolution 1435 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Ron Stevens of the 164th District, Chairman. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman of the Committee on Higher Education, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Higher Education has had under its consideration the following resolution of the House. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Resolution 1384 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District, Chairman. Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District, Chairman of the Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Bill 571 do pass. Senate Bill 572 do pass. Senate Bill 573 do pass. Senate Bill 577 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Beth Camp in the 135th District, Chairman. Representative Gunner of the 8th District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary has had under its consideration the following resolution of the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. Senate Resolution 425 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Gunner of the 8th District, Chairman. Representative Tyler Paul Smith of the 18th District, Chairman of the Committee on Judiciary Non-Civil, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary Non-Civils had under its consideration the following bill of the Senate and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 10 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Tyler Paul Smith of the 18th District, Chairman. Representative Carson, the 46th District, Chairman of the Committee on Retirement, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Retirement has had under its consideration the following bills of the Senate and has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. Senate Bill 322 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Carson, the 46th District, Chairman. Representative Rick Jaspers of the 11th District, Chairman of the Committee on Transportation, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Transportation has had under its consideration the following resolutions of the Senate. It has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. Senate Resolution 158 do pass. Senate Resolution 583 do pass by committee substitute. Senate Resolution 609 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Lisa Hagan of the 156th District, Vice Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
All right, members, we're ready to move on to the local calendar. Members will please come in and take your seats. We're going to have third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Hearing none, it is so ordered. Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
Senate Bill 571 by Senator Lucas, the 26th, City of Sandersville. Senate Bill 572 by Senator Strickland of the 17th, Morgan County. Senate Bill 573 by Senator Strickland of the 17th, Morgan County. Senate Bill 577 by Senator Jackson, the 41st, DeKalb County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage on the bills on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bills on the local calendar, the yeas are 171, the nay is 1. These bills having received the requisite constitutional majority are therefore passed. Okay, members. We're about ready for morning orders, which we have a lot of guests in the gallery today. We want everyone to be respected when they bring their morning order, but if you have a conversation on the floor now, you need to finish it in the anteroom. And if you have a seat on the floor, now's the time for you to sit in that seat. We have a very, very special invite resolution. You know, we talk often here as we recognize our heroic public safety personnel and our first responders, that we mention when danger occurs, they run to the danger as we all go the other way to avoid the danger. I'm going to tell you, when everyday Georgians, young people, see their fellow man in trouble, in peril, at death's door, and they endanger their own lives to take up the mantle to be heroes. And we have some heroes in our midst today. And it makes me very proud to say I'm a Georgian, and I'm proud of the citizens of this state, as I'm proud of y'all. So with that, I'm going to recognize Representative Houston Gaines. He's going to bring us a resolution that will honor some heroic actions, some young ladies, and they're with us today. We're honored for them to be here. Representative Gaines, my heroes, if you'll come up as well.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is such an incredible, these 5 young women, just incredible heroes. And many of you have probably seen, I printed out the Atlanta Journal-Constitution article from that was published yesterday. What these 5 young women did to save the lives of 3 people in Burke County. They were on their way down to St. Patrick's Day in Savannah. 5 freshmen at the University of Georgia. They were on their way down to St. Patrick's Day. And I'll read their names. And then I know the clerk has a resolution, we'll present it to them, but I first want to read off their names. Caitlin Iannacci, Clark Jones, Jane McCardle, Molly McCullum, and Eleanor Cart. You know, these 5 women in the article, you can read where a mom was traveling, went off into a creek, and these women, they noticed basically a white dust. And they turned their car around, dove right into the water. They helped the mom get an 8-year-old out of the vehicle. There was also a 4-year-old in the vehicle that they couldn't even see. The 4-year-old was stuck in the vehicle. They worked with the mom to ultimately get the 4-year-old out of the vehicle. Took several minutes. Ultimately got the 4-year-old out and performed CPR, saved the young person's life. It's amazing. These 5 women are heroes. I've certainly never been prouder of the University of Georgia, never been prouder to represent Athens, and I just want to say thank y'all. I know that Clark is going to speak, but the Speaker wanted to have the clerk read this resolution before she does so. It's House Resolution 1583.
House Resolution 1583 by Representative Gaines, the 120th, Weedower, 121st, Rhodes, the 124th, Fry, the 122nd, Frazier, the 126th, and others. A resolution recognizing and commending Jane McCardle, Molly McCollum, Eleanor Cart, Clark Jones, and Caitlin Iannacci, and for other purposes.
Clark, if you want to come on up and...
2 weeks ago today, we never would have been expecting to stand here. This is truly such an honor, and thank you all so much for taking the time to recognize us.
Let's give them another round of applause. Oh, I got it. We're going to mention each of their names one more time and have them raise their hands as I say their names. Jane McCardle. Let's give them each a round of applause. Molly McCullum. Eleanor Cart. Clark Jones. And Caitlin Iannacci. Thank you all so much for coming, and go Dogs. Yo, let's get a picture with the resolution.
Okay, members, we're going to have a photo. I'm getting the first photo with these heroes, but they'll be in the South Ante room if you would like to make their acquaintance and thank them for their heroic deed and have a photo. That'd be awesome. Thanks for all of those who brought the resolution. Thank you, Representative Gaines. Okay, we'll move on to morning orders. Representative Carter is recognized for a morning order. It's Carter. Doreen. Representative Doreen Carter, morning order.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm really excited to come before you all this morning. I have two very special guests that I would like to introduce to you, and if you would honor them. First, I would like for Mrs. Teresa Mullins, if she would stand. She has with her Mr. Alex Mullins, Miss Valencia Dennis, and Shara Bates. Okay, they're over there. Okay, Mrs. Teresa Mullins is the Communities of Schools Coordinator of the Year. And that means she has been working really, really hard for our young people to make sure that they not only have a great education and they have what they need. And she's my big sister. And now, you guys, we got to rush through this. So, Ms. Deborah Atney, I think she made it in. There you are! And Shakira. Okay, y'all, Ms. Deborah Atney is a pioneer in hip-hop and has taken off her heels and used them to break the proverbial glass ceiling to become one of the few female managers to create not only bankable artists but also superstars. Ms. Atney established the careers of now superstars O.J. Day, Juice Man, Nicki Minaj, French Montana, Gucci Mane, and Waka Flocka, who is also up there in the gallery today. If you guys would join me in celebrating these great women, because it's still March and it's Women's History Month. Yes, and if you would, come meet us in the anteroom and we'll take some pictures. Thank you all. I yield the will.
Ladies yielded the well. We have a considerable amount of morning orders, so I'm going to ask the members to cooperate. There's some very important morning orders. Representative Kelly is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I'm honored to have.
The gentleman will suspend. This could take a while. Gentlemen, we'll continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I'm honored to have with us here today some great students from both Cedartown High School and Rockmart High School from the Skills USA program and the FFA program. We've got some state champions with us from Cedartown in the Healthcare Career Pathways program, the Criminal Justice Quiz Bowl, Technical Drafting and Welding, and Skills USA and Rockmart in Law and Public Safety. And then we got a number of students from both Cedartown and Rockmart FFA who've earned state degrees. So if y'all please rise and let us just honor you and recognize you in the house. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Kelly. Good to have you all in the People's House. Representative Will Wade is recognized for a morning order.
And friends, Mr. Speaker.
And friends, that's good to know.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in excitement to recognize some amazing student athletes from Lumpkin County High School, the 2024 Men's Dual Wrestling State Champion team, as well as the individual champion, Nathan Nielsen. If you gentlemen and managers, if you guys will rise, and the coach, a fantastic, phenomenal season. Lumpkin County is known for its wrestling, and I'm very proud of them and their accomplishments. Also, Speaker, I want to welcome Superintendent Sharon Head, Assistant Superintendent Greg Trammell, and High School Principal Billy Kirk, and former School Superintendent Rob Brown. They're in the corner, guests. We appreciate their investment in our future. Gentlemen and ladies, thank you so much for what you've done, and congratulations. And members, if you need a Senate bill taken down, these folks know how to grapple. They're going over to the Senate next. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Terry Cummins, recognized, and friends, recognized for a morning order.
Good morning. We have some distinguished guests here this morning. Chief Stuart Van Hooser and the members of the Cobb County Police Department Real-Time Crime Center. Will you please stand? The Cobb County Police Department is being recognized because they won the National Real-Time Crime Center Award. And the Real-Time Crime Center uses cameras and all the technology possible to detect real crime while it's occurring or immediately after. This would not be possible without the analysts that you see today, as well as the police officers. I would specifically like to recognize Captain Darren Hall, Lieutenant David Thorpe, Major Stan Bell, and all of the staff of the Real-Time Crime Center. And I want to congratulate you for this national award. Representative Seabaugh wanted to say a few words.
Thank you. Colleagues, Chief Van Hooser and I started out a long, long time ago. He was a beat cop and I was a EMT, and we have both, well, at least he has risen to a position of prominence in his department. We are so fortunate to have the Cobb County Police Department. They make our community a great place to work, live, and raise a family. And gentlemen, we appreciate you so much. Welcome to the House.
Thank you, Speaker. I yield the well.
Welcome and congratulations on a tremendous honor. Appreciate y'all's work. Representative Campbell, you're close by, so you're recognized for a morning order.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, colleagues, I rise with members of the House Education Committee. I welcome you to join us to recognize and celebrate the first ever milestone Executive Function Day at the Georgia State Capitol, underscoring the significance of executive function. You may be asking, what is executive function? Well, executive function is that set of mental skills that is used to manage our thoughts, our feelings, and behaviors to achieve our goals. And they can be used to helping all of our students during challenges, interruption, and uncertainty. These skills help our students in literacy, reading, and math achieve their goals. I'd also like to recognize the world's leading expert in executive function, Sucheta Kamath, and her fellow GASHA colleagues, her dear friends and family who are here in the chamber, and thank her for her mission, would you all rise, to teach every child executive function. Please join me in recognizing her outstanding contributions to our youth. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, and welcome to the People's House. Representative Scott Hilton is recognized for interesting morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In 1965, U.S. Congressman Joel Pritchard and his friend Mr. Bell invented pickleball in their backyard, named after their dog Pickles. And now today, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the United States. And we are joined by the Southern Pickleball Association, over 6,000 members strong. They have tournaments in 8 states, and they have the world's largest indoor pickleball facility here in Macon, Georgia. Let's rise and applaud and cheer on Southern Pickleball. Pickleball in the Rotunda. Go check it out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Good to have y'all here. Representative Alexander is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have today a group of students. There are about 20 students, if they're still here in the gallery. They are the Douglas County Youth Commissioners, and they are a group of youth learning the fundamentals of government, community building, and how to solve problems as public administrators while making lifelong friendships. If you can stand to be recognized in the gallery, if you're still here, Douglas County Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
welcome our friends from Douglas County. Good to have you. Representing Marin and Representative Martinez. Man, you guys got it going on. Recognized for a morning order.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias a todos. I'm excited because I got, I guess, one day to go. I love it. Today I rise to recognize a leader in the Latino community, Mr. Antonio Molina. Antonio Molina is an immediate past chair of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Also is a member of the board of the Georgia Independent College and the Gwinnett Hospital Authority. Antonio has been recognized as part of the 40 under 40 class for Georgia Trend Magazine, the Atlanta Business Chronicle, Georgia State University, and Emory, as well as a top lawyer under 40 by the Hispanic National Bar Association. Antonio is a Navy veteran. Thank you for your service, Antonio. Thank you for being here. Love you. Thank you.
Representative Crawford, Representative Amari Crawford. Sprint on down here, brother. You got it.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, today I want to recognize a group of special visitors to the Capitol. They're not in, or some of them are in the gallery right now. The Prince Hall Shriners, they come from all over the state of Georgia, and they do a lot of good work. They wanted to see the work that we're doing, and some of their work includes, but is not limited to, annual grants for medical research, financial support for our historically black colleges and universities, as well as the support of our students and teachers around the state. So I'll ask if some of them would stand and be recognized. Thank you for all the work that you do, and welcome to the People's House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative Crawford. Welcome to the People's House. Chairman Irwin's recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. I'm excited to announce this year we are celebrating 150 years of Toccoa being a city. Toccoa was named after an area called Dry Pond. And Toccoa has also carried a standard known as a thriving gem in northeast Georgia. One small fact you might not know about Stevens County and Toccoa is the fact that there's a waterfall up there, Toccoa Falls. It's the tallest free-falling waterfall east of the Mississippi. Many people also come to visit. A little-known fact that we have Currahee Military Museum honoring all of the World War II paratroopers who trained in Toccoa. We have quite a few guests up in the gallery. Would those guests stand so we can recognize you? Not only are they serving in Stevens County and Toccoa, but they're fantastic citizens. Thank you, citizens. We yield away.
Representative Becky Evans is recognized for a morning order. Members, if you'll join me in rising.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to honor the life and legacy of Rafat Al-Arir, a friend, a father of 6, professor and poet, who at the age of 44 was killed in Gaza as a result of Israeli airstrikes during the Hamas-Israel war. I met Professor Al-Arir when he was on a book tour for Gaza Writes Back in 2014, and I was honored to have him as a guest in my home. One of the last poems he wrote, If I Must Die, is on your desks, and several of his good friends are with us up in the gallery. During his teachings of renowned playwrights such as Shakespeare, Professor Al-Arir helped his students grow and shatter the prejudices they grew up with. Our mutual friend, Youssef Al-Arir, a student of Youssef Al-Ajamal, a student of Professor Al-Arir, told me, Rafat told us to be critical thinkers and to think globally, having the English language be accessible and available to many people regardless of their social background, after it was exclusive to the elites and the rich. I invite you to join me for a moment of silence in honoring Rafat Al-Arir's love and passion for mentoring a generation of Palestinian writers, inspiring them to write their stories. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, Representative. Now we have a group led by Representative Sharper, Chairman Mitchell, Chairman Prince, Representative Reese, and Representative Maynor are recognized for a group morning order, and some friends. Are all of y'all speaking? I hope not.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We'll turn this over to our resident philanthropist, entertainer, TV personality, Representative Dexter Sharper.
Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Chairman. Today, we have Influential Women Day here at the Georgia Capitol, and we have some people that we're going to be recognizing, and we hope that you guys give them that Georgia welcome. These are people that have been all over the country, working worldwide in several different areas of their professions. But the first one we'd like to recognize for the Outstanding Georgia Citizens, or Georgia's Outstanding Citizens Award, is Ms. Jessica Judy Dupart, who is the CEO of Kaleidoscope Hair Products, philanthropist, and TV personality, and she was surprised today by her life partner, the brat, right there behind the stand-up. We're doing them one at a time, so everybody else other than Miss Jessica Judy can stay seated, because they're gonna get your photo one at a time. So once again, thank you for Miss Judy. Y'all give her a big hand. All right, the next person, this is very interesting. Believe it or not, Miss Ellen Ector, fitness expert, founder of Gymnastics Fitness, is 71 years old, and she is looking beautiful. Y'all give her a big hand. The next person is Miss Princess Banton Lofters, who's the CEO of Loft 2 Entertainment, show creator, producer, and TV personality. Y'all give her a big hand, Miss Princess. We also have Miss Ebony Austin, who is CEO of Nouvelle's Bar and Grill here in Atlanta, and philanthropist. Y'all give her a big hand. And we also have Miss Gosha Hawkins, the founder of Gosha's Breakfast Bar and TV personality. And she's providing us with our food for today as well. Last but not least, we have Miss Antoinette McLaughlin, who is the CEO of the Spice Group, producer, and brand strategist. Y'all give her a big hand. And I would like to thank Rain Stevens, also Portia, Naomi, Jaymonda, and Henry for all being here, helping us put all this together. And we're going to have some of them that's going to go over to the ante room and take pictures with you guys. Thank you so much. Thank all my friends. Thank everybody so much. And we'll be going down, and we'll be also in room 216.
That concludes our morning orders. Clerk will read the caption to Senate Bill 212. Senate Bill 212, we're on the rules calendar.
Senate Bill 212 by Senator Burns, the 23rd, Gooch, the 51st, Anderson, the 24th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 9 and Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to probate courts, and Title 21 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elections, respectively, so as to end activities and duties of probate court judges relating to elections. This bill having referred to the Committee on Governmental Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by Rules Committee substitute.
Clerk, the chair recognizes Representative Kelly to present the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm here today to present
Gentlemen will suspend. If you have conversations, please take them to the ante room. If you have a chair, please find it. Gentlemen will continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to present Senate Bill 212, Rules Committee Substitute, LC 473067S, which aims to remove the elections from the jurisdiction of the probate judges. As we know, our probate judges have a lot of vital functions that they serve for our counties and each of us, including issuing marriage certificates, hearing traffic cases, hearing violations of our game and fish laws, and also managing the estates and the probate process for all of us should a loved one pass away. What we're doing now is simply removing the elections from the jurisdiction of their agency. 143 counties are already operating under election boards. 16 are currently operating where your probate judges run your elections. And we're simply going to create a uniform system across our state to put these other 16 on par with the rest of our 143. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
You have a question?
I'll be glad to yield.
Chair recognizes Representative Hughley for a question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
I would always yield to my friend and former and D-Block colleague.
Just a point of clarification, will this change affect any of the elections that are going to occur this year?
Thank you for that question. None of these elections will be impacted because the changes wouldn't go into effect till January of 2025. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Draper for a question, and to your front.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. Does the gentleman yield?
Be glad to yield.
So first of all, I just want to thank you for this bill. I think it's an excellent bill, excellent policy, and we've put too much burden on our probate judges, and administering elections is just too much. So I thank you very much for this bill. My question is about the composition of the boards of elections that come from this bill. My question is about the composition of the boards of elections as a result of this bill.
Yes.
It's my understanding that after a certain period of time, there is a process for how those election boards will be composed. My question to you is, by local legislation, can those then be changed later?
Yes, there is. There's a procedure that will be put in place for those 16 to begin the process going for 2024. They have to have those appointments no later than December 15th of 2024, and then would take office January 1st, 2025. But then we could come back in, as we do through local legislation. Any of those 16 counties could come in through local legislation should they like to, and change the composition.
Thank you.
Thank you for the
Gentleman
question.
has one more question from Representative Dean Green.
I'll be glad to yield to the Dean.
Thank you so much. Does the gentleman yield?
I will be glad to yield.
The legislation before us right now, the probate judges in my area are the ones that really will benefit by this. Most of the individuals are from my district that would benefit from this. And I want to thank you for working on this and bringing it forth, and the many people that offered their suggestions and worked with us to make it a good bill.
It's been a collaborative effort, but no one is a stronger advocate for their probate judges and their district in general than you, Dean, and so I appreciate your support with this. Madam Speaker, I'll yield the well at this time and ask for the body's favorable consideration. Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? The chair hears none. The Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas were 162, the nays were 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 9797?
Senate Bill 97 by Senator Anna Davardi of the 31st, Albers the 56th, and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 3, Title 38 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to emergency management. This bill having referred to the Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security. That committee recommends this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Collins is recognized to present Senate Bill 97. Chairman Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. I bring before you the substitute to Senate Bill 97. This bill originally started out as something else, and we changed it in the House Public Safety Committee to deal with ghost tags around the metro Atlanta area and some of the more populous cities of our state. We have a terrible time with street racing, speeding, and these organizers of these events where people do burnouts and they video them. So this deals with legislation that would prohibit the obstruction of a license plate or tag, if you will, of vehicles in our state. There's a graduated penalty system there. If you're convicted 1, 2, or 3, 4 times, you have bad actors all across this state that are utilizing this deception to hide the identity of who owns the car and who the car is registered to. The back portion of this bill, Mr. Speaker, it deals with some of the issues that we've been having with school cameras, the speeding in school zones, the automatic license plate readers. What this does is it clarifies that in order for those school cameras to be utilized, they have to have the flashing lights, the signage, that can only be utilized to reduce the speed for an hour before the tardy bell, an hour after the tardy bell, an hour before the dismissal bell, and an hour after the dismissal bell. It also addresses in the Section 8 of this piece of legislation, it deals with the amount of revenue that local governments can use to offset their budget through speeding fines and those types of things where kind of speed traps are concerned. It lowers from 35 to 30%. It also exempts the super speeders that violate the school camera reduced speed or school zone reduced speed through camera usage. Mr. Speaker, that's pretty much the genesis of the bill. I'll be glad to stand for any questions. If not, I'll be glad to yield the well and ask for the body's favorable consideration.
Gentleman, yield for a couple of questions.
Just a couple, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, Representative Gladney to your left has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Sir. Mr. Speaker, does the gentleman yield?
Yes, I yield.
Is it not true that as the former motor vehicle registration director, I often had to advise motorists that putting a sign on their vehicle or anywhere in their vehicle that said tag applied for was unlawful? This legislation, in the event that it was caught on camera, would also make it where they could be ticketed for this. Is that not correct?
Not necessarily. No, ma'am. Not with the ticket. The camera legislation is not a part of the ghost tag legislation.
Does the gentleman further yield?
Yes, I do.
So, in the event that there is any violation with the license plate, if the registration is no longer valid because it is expired, if it is captured on camera, can the motorist be ticketed for having an expired registration and license plate?
The license plate issue, that would have to be issued by a public safety member of law enforcement. That does not deal with the camera legislation at all. That's separate.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Gullett to your right in the back.
Thank you. Does the gentleman yield?
To my friend from Paulding County, I absolutely do.
Appreciate this bill. While I'm not a fan of the cameras in general, I am very appreciative that we're restricting the use of them so that they can only be about safety and not about revenue generation for localities. So thank you for this bill.
I too agree with my friend, and thank you for the question. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to yield the well at this time and ask for the body's favorable consideration to the substitute to Senate Bill 97.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. There was a minority report. The minority report is waived. We have the current version of the bill, I think, help with that. Is there any objection to the adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. Report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 97, the yeas are 169, the nay is 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 399? 399.
Senate Bill 399 by Senator Eccles, the 49th, Albers, the 56th, and others to be entitled Act to amend Chapter 4, Title 20, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to vocational, technical, and adult education. This bill having referred to the Committee on Higher Education. That committee recommends this bill do pass by committee substitute.
The gentleman from up in Gainesville, Representative Matt Dubnik, is recognized to present the bill. Representative Dubnik.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I bring you Senate Bill 399. This is a bill that passed the Senate 53-0. This bill encourages the Commissioner of TCSG and the Chancellor of USG to coordinate their efforts to expand credit transfer opportunities between the two systems. The need for this came out of a Senate Workforce Study Committee last year. The goal is to figure out and provide more opportunities for TCSG students to identify four-year degree programs for which some or all of their credits would transfer. And the long-term goal is to enhance that 2+2 program, which, if you'll remember, is where a student can get a 2-year technical school degree and have those transfer if they were to pursue a bachelor's degree in an additional 2 years. Mr. Speaker, that's the bill. I'll be happy to stand for any questions.
Gentleman has no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask for your favorable consideration of Senate Bill 399.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 399, the yeas are 170, and nays 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 132? 132.
Senate Bill 132 by Senator Beach, the 21st, Goodman of the 8th, Summers the 13th, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 2 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to agriculture, so as to prohibit the acquisition of possessory interest in certain land by certain non-resident aliens. This bill having referred to the Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Corbett is recognized to present Senate Bill 132. Chairman Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I bring before you today Senate Bill 132. This is a rules substitute that we have. Basically what we're doing with Senate Bill 132, we're placing a 3-year moratorium on the EPD accepting any new applications for surface mining that utilizes drag lines for mining heavy mineral sands. That's basically what the bill does, but while I'm here, I want to answer some questions that's been brought up by some articles that's been written over the past few weeks and months. To start with, there's an article ran about a month and a half ago. That's about some petitions that had been signed by some people in my district, and they handed me a folder with 500 signatures in it. So I thought I'd go through them and look at them, and it was very interesting. Some of the names on there, I got Donald Trump, Trump Towers, his address, baby, huge, emails, the Trumpinator. And then Joe Biden signed it but didn't put an address or an email. He probably forgot. It gets better. He signed the next page. Joe Biden, he probably forgot. But he did put White House on this one, so it came back to him. So, no, sir. And then had a U.S. Fish and Wildlife employee quoted in several of the articles, talking about how the trail ridge was formed, the hydrological boundary of the swamp. And the only problem with that, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, their comprehensive conservation plan on page 22 says while that theory is traditional and most popular, it's probably incorrect. Several times in the article, it refers to the mining draining the swamp. Water levels, talking about the different ones at Twin Pines paid to do the studies. But what I look at is what the people that are not getting paid said. Dr. Z. Wang, professional hydrologist and manager of the water supply program for the Watershed Protection Branch of the Georgia EPD, noted in a November 2022 memo to his colleagues, the EPD water supply program hydrologists, geologists, modelers thoroughly reviewed Twin Pines information and agree it addressed critical issues raised through the program's review permit submissions. It said water loss from the superficial aquifer in form of seepage into the mining pit will not have a significant impact on the swamp. And then the other findings said the water supply program model showed the impact of the swamp and the St. Mary's River withdrawing 1.44 million gallons of water per day from the Floridian aquifer, even in the worst weather conditions, is de minimis, too minor to merit consideration. And then Thomas McGill with the U.S. EPA Wetland and Streams Protection Branch chief confirmed the findings in a 2022 memo, basically just confirmed, said the prediction that the proposed project is not anticipated to affect groundwater levels in the swamp. That's EPA and EPD both agreeing, and then Z Wang, he is the same hydrologist that has won 2 Supreme Court decisions with the water wars against Florida and Alabama. Same hydrologist. He knows what he's doing. In a draft December 7th, 2022, in a draft memorandum, the hydrology impact of 1.44 million gallons of water withdrawal from the Floridian aquifer has been analyzed in a rather conservative way. What he's doing, if he's drawing the whole 1.44 million gallons straight from the swamp, and he said even if, which is extreme, they're not doing that, they're coming from the aquifer. He said we have modeled that impact, and this loss of water concluded that the water level in the swamp will have an impact of roughly 5 millimeters at the worst time. So no impact in the swamp. In several of the articles, there's a leading environmental scientist that works for UGA. It's not UGA's opinion, but he's quoted in several articles, so I thought I'd look him up. And some of his Facebook posts, he seems to be a frequent critic of many Republicans on Facebook, including Governor Kemp, who on August 24, 2021, states that LSU just instituted a vaccine requirement for students and football fans. 8 SEC schools have mask mandates. UGA has neither, because our governor believes stupidity is the path to re-election. So, I just put on the record, I don't think our governor was stupid. I think the history has proved him to be a genius in his handling of the COVID epidemic. Several false emails that went out. One went out, all of them, if you look at where the address are coming from, it's from the softedge.com, and one of them came from one of the county commissioners' wives who signed a resolution in favor of Twin Pines, of the mining down there, for as long as the EPD or EPA said it wouldn't harm the swamp. So anyways, I called the commissioner, and they went to laughing. They sent out false emails. Here is a copy of the resolution that the commissioners signed. In the article, said they could reach one county commissioner, but they couldn't reach the others. If they had changed their minds, trust me, they would have called me. In the article, it says titanium dioxide is the only thing they're mining. It's used for paint pigment, which is true. It is used for the pigment in white paint, but it's also the other metal that the rare earth element they are mining is zirconium. And the Defense Department, especially the Department of the Navy, uses that in nuclear fuel rods and several other applications for national defense. It's critical. Matter of fact, it's such a high-grade zirconium that's mined in that area down there on Trail Ridge that the Defense Department specifies the zirconium from that area. When presented the first bill that did this, 1338, there was a minority report filed, and there's some questions there that I would like to answer. It said it applies broadly to the entire state, which is not correct. It only specifies dragline mining of heavy mineral sands. That only affects one company. It said second, the bill does not impact Twin Pines demonstration mine. That was true, but guess what? The other bill that was out there, House Bill 71, did not affect it either. So that wasn't an issue there. Third, there's no requirement for anyone to collect data concerning the dragline surface mining. In committee, the DNR, the director of EPD, stated that in the application process for the permit, there is daily, weekly, monthly data program that has to be filled out, data is collected and turned in. So there is data being collected and turned in. The fourth issue, they said they had with the timeline on the judicial review, which is no longer in this bill. I did want to mention that. That's the difference between 1338 and what you have before you today. I did have a letter from the Office of Administrative Hearings. It was a pleasure speaking, and this is from February 23rd. Said, as discussed, we have reviewed House Bill 1338, and OSA is happy to comply with the proposed adjudication deadline. They had no trouble with the deadline. Finally, there's a great article in a book you got last year, the Council on State Governments, the vital role of rare earth elements in the 21st century economies. It takes an average of 16 and a half years to permit a new mine before the first minerals can be extracted. If the United States wants to decrease its reliance on foreign sources, strategies will need to be developed to ensure critical minerals are extracted safely and responsibly. We can keep our head in the sand, or we continue to rely on nations that are not friendly to us, or we can work with the EPD and let them do their job, and that's what SB 132 does. It gives the EPD 3 years to collect data and monitor the demonstration mine to make sure that it's not going to harm the swamp in any way. So I'm going to ask that you vote favorably for SB 132. Any questions?
The gentleman has a couple of questions.
Thought I might.
Representative Oliver, to your left, extreme left, almost behind you. To your extreme left, Mr. Chairman.
Does the gentleman yield?
I do.
I'd like you to please answer a question that my constituents asked me. How is it that a bill that has over 92 co-sponsors cannot get a hearing in a committee in the Georgia House? My constituents want to know the answer to that question.
Well, if you remember, it did have a hearing in the House last year.
I'm speaking about House Bill 71 that was not allowed an opportunity for a vote. Am I correct about that?
It did have a hearing in committee last year, yes, ma'am.
But it was not allowed an opportunity for a vote. Am I correct, sir?
I believe that is correct.
Thank you.
Gentleman, yield for another question.
Yes, sir.
How about Chair Lady Smith? She may know something about this. Is recognized for a question.
Gentleman yield.
I do, to my chairman.
Is it not true that this moratorium has the purpose of quieting things down? If people are not familiar with the moratorium, is it not true that a parent would send a child to each corner while things can quiet down? During this period of time, is it not true that there will be ample research done? And further, is it not true that last year was not the appropriate time for the vote? Several signers on the bill asked me to withhold their names, which was not done. Is that not true? And it is not true it's a committee process that works very well in the Georgia House. And with respect to all parties involved, I've never heard one time, is it not true, that anyone wishes to harm the Okefenokee. It's a treasure for all of us. And thank you for making this possible for us to slow things down and to give everyone a chance to research and look into what's going on. Thank you.
The lady knows what she speaks. Thank you. I yield the well, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman has yielded well. We do have a speaker in favor of the bill, Representative Debbie Buckner. Representative Buckner is recognized to speak in favor of SB 132. Give the lady your attention, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My great-grandfather had a quote, and he said, you know, sometimes when things get difficult, sometimes when you're not real sure what's going on or why, you'll scratch your head and it won't itch. Well, my head's been scratched a lot this morning because it's not itching, but the truth of the matter is, it is what the chair lady just said. We all do love the Okefenokee. We all do realize that it is an incredible resource to our state. We all know that it needs protection. And many of us feel like putting a mine anywhere within range of that swamp is the wrong thing to do. We are afraid of what it will do to the groundwater. We are afraid of what it will do to the many very special and unique flowers and wildlife and even things I don't like snakes and reptiles and alligators. But those are unique to that area and important to that very unique ecosystem, and we are concerned. The fact that we've not been able to feel like sometimes we were heard in the way that we want to protect this swamp makes this vote difficult. The fact that we have not been able to say no to a company that has a terrible track record in other states makes me feel uncomfortable. But those lawyers that are in the room know more than I do, and we've got to lay the groundwork to do this in a way that is fair and equitable, even though we have all those concerns. All this bill does now, according to what I understand, is that it puts a moratorium on any more permits. It does not put a moratorium on the company that we're worried about's permit. They'll still be going through a very slow, arduous process of having to study what they want to do, what they hope to do, and EPD will have to analyze that. But it's all we got. There is nothing else anywhere. As many things as have been dropped in the House and the Senate, as many things as have been suggested that we do, this is the only thing on the next to the last day of the session that's out there that will slow it down, give us an opportunity to try to figure out something else within the next 3 years to save the swamp. So although I'm not really in love with this bill, and I'm not ever going to be for the mining, no offense to the author and the residents there, this is the only thing we can do right now to save the swamp. It's the only option. So I urge you to vote for this, knowing that we are not getting the best, but we're getting something good, maybe, that will help us take care of the swamp. With that, Mr. Speaker, if there are any questions, I would be glad to try to answer them.
Lady has a question to your right. Chair Lady Houston is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Isn't it not true that I am very concerned about the water permit that is being asked for to pump 1.5 million gallons a day? And isn't it not true we've just gotten through some water wars with Florida? And isn't it not true maybe we need to let Florida see this bill and maybe they'll get on us too? Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Chairman Dickey is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the lady yield?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your comments. You mentioned track record. What do you feel like the track record is of our Environmental Protection Division, Georgia, on permitting? Do you feel like it has a good track record?
Well, I do think that they have had some challenges sometimes, things that I haven't always agreed with, but we do have a new EPD director that has been an agency person for a number of years, and he knows there's an awful lot of people watching this one. So I feel confident that they'll go through the process as required by the law and by the rules and regs that they have.
Thank you. I feel like...
Lady has a question right in front of her from the whip, Representative Burchett. Whip Burchett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentlelady yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that my district in large part encompasses the Okefenokee Swamp?
Yes.
Very good. Is it not true that the author of the bill, the chairman that presented the bill, also his portion of his district is the swamp?
Yes.
Is it not true that he and I are both advocates for the swamp?
I believe that to be true.
Very good. Is it not true that the area that we're protecting is outside the delineation of the swamp?
You're talking
that is
about
true.
the...
Thank you, ma'am.
No, wait. Are you talking about the part that we're talking about that needs permits is outside of the swamp?
It is outside the swamp.
It is. It's adjacent to it.
So it's outside the line, the protecting line of the swamp. Is that true?
It is outside of the boundaries of the swamp.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Well, I just want to, does the gentlelady further yield?
Yes.
I want to also thank you for coming to support this bill, but also support to the author of the bill and his leadership on this issue, and very much appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Yield for another question.
I will.
Representative Al Williams to your left has a question. That's the last question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the lady yield?
Yes.
Is it not true that I support the Okefenokee Swamp?
I do too. Thank you.
Is it not further true that it is important for many, many, many reasons, and we all agree that it is a national treasure?
Definitely. It's an international treasure. People from all over the world love the swamp.
Is it not further true that this bill, while not far from being the best bill, is a good opportunity for a cooling off period so that we might possibly move forward to a position that everybody gets together on?
Yes, that's my hope.
Is it not true that I support this bill because of that reason?
Thank you. With that, Mr. Speaker, if there are no more questions, I yield the well and encourage you to vote yes.
The lady has no more questions. She's yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. There was a minority report filed on the underlying bill. It's been waived. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee's substitute? Chair hears none. The committee's substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? Chair hears none. The Rules Committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machine? Have all members voted? All members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 132, the yeas are 167, the nays are 4. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 402?
Senate Bill 402 by Senator Albers, the 56th, Summers, the 13th, Williams, the 25th, and others to amend Code Section 4524 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to instruction permits, graduated licensing, and related restrictions. This bill having referred to the Committee on Motor Vehicles. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Representative Jason Ridley is recognized to present the bill. Representative Ridley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This bill is Senate Bill 402, and as many of y'all heard in y'all's when y'all were in the Senate committees, this is a House upgrade. What we've done on this bill is that we've took and added in, if y'all remember House Bill 301, that had to do with school cameras. We've added that in, the exact bill, which basically did this. It said that you could not, hang on a minute, let me back up just a second. House Bill 301 passed out of here without any no votes, and it had to do with school cameras, and it said that, that it did put it back in the 35%, where that goes toward the 35% rule, and it also made the total fees $25. If y'all remember back whenever we've done this before, the bill, we had people getting tickets that the fees were actually more than the ticket was. So this says that it has to be a total of $25. If they do not abide by that, then it's a $1,000 fine to either the camera company or the enforcement if they do not do their job, and that will be by the Commissioner of Public Safety. And Mr. Speaker, that's all this bill does.
You did a great job. You have no questions.
All right, thank you. I yield the well.
I think you yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? Chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 402, the yeas are 166 and nays 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 449?
Senate Bill 449 by Senator Walker the 20th, Kennedy the 18th, Hanna Duarte the 31st, Gooch the 51st, and others to be titled Act to amend Code Section 31.7, 12.8 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to certification as nursing aid and employer-sponsored training and competency examination program. This bill having referred to the Committee on Regulated Industries. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Blackman is recognized to present the bill. Representative Shaw Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Fellow members, bring before you Senate Bill 449. This is a substitute by Committee on Regulated Industries. I would, underlying bill, Part 1, would allow a military member to utilize their medical credentials earned from service for up to 12 months in civilian practice while they complete their licensure requirements. It passed unanimously in the Senate. And the second section of this bill is from House Bill 215, the language from Chairman Powell's bill, passed unanimously out of this body last session, and it creates a license for advanced practice registered nurses. I'll be happy to try to answer any questions, Mr. Speaker, if there are any.
You have a question. Representative Gladney to your left, if you'll yield for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Is it not true that veterans and military personnel transitioning into civilian sector workforce shortages have proven to be very, very rewarding to our communities?
I believe the lady knows exactly of what she speaks.
Thank you for bringing this bill, sir.
Thank you.
Gentleman yield for another question.
I'll yield for another question.
Chairman Powell to your right.
Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is it not true that Section 2 of this bill takes care of a piece of legislation that's been rolling around here last year and this year, has probably gone through 2 or 3 processes, that actually does something positive for the advanced practical registered nurses?
I'm sure the author of that legislation knows of what he speaks.
Is it not also true that right now that if you're a nurse, no matter what category, you only get a nurse's license, so they're all lumped into one, and this bill that if you are a credentialed, more educated, and meets those credentials of an advanced practical registered nurse, then your license will specify what your credentials are?
I believe that to be true, yes, sir. Thank you.
Further inquiry. Is it not also true that I thank you for doing this bill so I don't have to fool with it anymore? And is it not also true that a lot of us respect nurses because we think they're the ones that keep the docs from killing us?
Hear, hear.
It was a love fest, but it's over. We have no further questions.
Thank you for your consideration. Yield the well.
Gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? The chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 449, the yeas are 166 and nays are 0. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption of Senate Bill 344? 344.
Senate Bill 344 by Senator Anna Devarta, the 31st, Gooch the 51st, Kennedy the 18th, Brass the 28th, and others. Being entitled an act to amend Code Section 4883, the official code of Georgia annotated relating exemptions from sales and use taxes. This bill has been referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chair Lady Camp is recognized to present the bill. Representative Camp.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a special time of the year when the descriptions that are listed on our rule sheet don't always match the bills. The bill I bring to you today is a committee substitute on Ways and Means. It's SB 344. Senator Anna Vitarte graciously allowed us to change the bill because this is an important measure. It talks about, and you've heard this before, the BEAD and the ARPA funds that are coming into our state. We are looking to exempt those from income tax. So more broadband can be put throughout Georgia to make sure everyone has access to this. And I ask for your favorable consideration on this bill.
Lady has no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Ladies, yielded the will. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? The chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 344, the yeas are 163, the nay is 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 517, 517?
Senate Bill 517 by Senator Robertson, the 29th, to be entitled an act to amend Article 2, Chapter 3, Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to justification and excuse under defenses to criminal prosecutions. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Devin Seabaugh is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I rise today to present Senate Bill 517. This legislation allows law enforcement officers who lawfully and reasonably employ the use of force in the performance of their duties to seek immunity from criminal prosecution as currently outlined in Georgia Code. This bill clarifies that officers have no obligation to retreat from using reasonable force to make an arrest and should not be held legally liable to the individual against whom the force was justified when making the lawful arrest. And I want to emphasize this legislation does not extend or enhance immunity for police officers, nor does it serve to endorse the use of force indiscriminately. It simply enables officers to petition the court for immunity in a pretrial motion when faced with a civil action related to a justified use of force during an arrest, even if the sole reason for their justified force was to make an arrest. I will again emphasize that officers who use unlawful or excessive force would not be entitled to immunity under this bill. That is the bill, Mr. Speaker, and if there are no questions, I will yield the well.
The gentleman has no questions. He's yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 517, the yeas are 149, the nays are 18. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 497? 497.
Senate Bill 497 by Senator Hickman of the 4th, Albers the 56th, Beach of the 21st, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 4, Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated, relating to vocational, technical, and adult education, so as to redesignate the High Demand Career Initiatives Program as a High Demand Apprenticeship Program. This bill I referred to the Committee on Higher Education. That committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Representative Sue Hong is recognized to present the bill. Representative Hong.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. SB 497 redesignates the high demand career initiatives of the technical college system to high demand apprenticeship. Essentially, this is a program where an employer can get apprentices, and currently they can have up to 5, and they will receive $10,000 per apprentice if they finish the program. In this bill, what we're changing is increasing the number of apprentices that an employer can have to 10, and we are decreasing the amount that the employer will receive down to $5,000 per apprentice. And so therefore, there's no budget or funding differences. Further, it's going to create a public service apprenticeship program, which will help with state and local government field careers. This is a request from the technical college system based on employers that are wanting more skilled workers, and this will help to create qualified skilled workers. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I will yield to any questions.
You have a question from Representative Stinson to your left in the back. Representative Stinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentlelady yield?
I do.
Is it not true that when this bill was brought to our committee, that I shared with the committee the importance of acknowledging the funeral industry are in need of apprentices as well? Is that not true?
I believe I remember that.
Further question?
Sure.
Is it not further true that I hope that in the future there will be some more discussion and possible legislation similar to this that will include the funeral industry, because of the fact that the funeral industry does require apprenticeship program, and there's so many hours. Of course, there's more hours for an apprenticeship to become a funeral director in this state than it is to be a nurse in this state. Is that not true?
Thank you.
Thank you
Noted.
for your work on this legislation.
Sure.
Lady yield for another question.
Yes.
Representative Draper is recognized right to your left down the center aisle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentlelady yield?
I do.
Thank you for this bill. I appreciate the apprenticeship program to create more skilled labor in Georgia. Do you have a sense for how long it would take somebody to be trained to become skilled labor?
The program usually is for a year, but I think the employer I'm sorry, I'm going to rephrase that. The amount of the number of apprentices that you can have, that is per year, and the amount that you receive is per year. But I think it just depends on the different skills and the hours that they will go through depending on the employer. And the employer will submit those hours and what they've done in order to qualify to receive this incentive.
Does the gentlelady yield for a follow-up
I do.
question? So would it be at least a year before, through this bill, we would create additional skilled labor for businesses in Georgia?
Correct. So anybody that is in the program currently, so that will end in 2024, and this will start in 2025.
Thank you.
Sure. With that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well, and I ask for your favorable vote. Thank you.
Lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? The chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. Report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, who's got to vote? You gonna vote? You let it out of your committee. I figured you needed to vote on it. Have all members now voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 497, the yeas are 171, the nays 1. This bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to Senate Bill 83? 83.
Senate Bill 83 by Senator Jackson, the 41st, Strickland, the 17th, Jones, the 22nd, and Kirkpatrick, the 32nd, be entitled an act to amend Article 7 of Chapter 5 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to stalking so as to revise the eligibility for restraining orders. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary and Non-Civil, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Rob Leverett is recognized to present the bill. Representative Leverett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the House. I present to you Senate Bill 83. I want to thank Senator Jackson for allowing us to use her bill for this important piece of legislation. The bill that I am presenting you today does not have anything to do with stalking or stalking orders. It's a very different topic. It has to do with bad faith claims asserted in motor vehicle accidents, claims that are asserted against an insurance company. This is an issue that is one that a small community of people are aware of, but that has very broad application to all of us if we have car insurance. So it involves a way for a claimant to try to recover in situations from a defendant or through the insurance company in excess of what the limits are, through the bad faith claims, which are recognized in law. But what a small group of attorneys are doing is they are sending a demand for limits with conditions that are unreasonable and overly burdensome and you can't possibly comply with, and then using that as a basis for arguing that the request for limits pay was rejected, and that's a further basis for a bad faith claim. So I know this is exciting stuff, but it does affect what we pay in premiums, and it affects what insurance companies have to pay out in excess of what they've contracted to pay. These are where they would have to pay in excess of their limits. So the purpose of this bill amends an existing code section, 911-67.1,
which has been used in the past to try to address the issue, but it hasn't quite tamped it down because people are very creative and they come up with ways to get around it. But this is to try to finally provide clarity so that these offers to settle these kinds of claims from a motor vehicle accident don't get abused, as the way I've just discussed. The Bennett bill clarifies how the insurance company would accept the offer. It sets out what the essential elements of the offer are and provides that as long as those essential elements are accepted, then any failure to comply with other non-material terms like, your check can't have any commas in it, or the check has to be, or the payment has to be delivered in cash to my office at 12:35 on a Saturday. Those sorts of things could not give rise to any bad faith claims. This tries to address that issue, protect insurance companies from extra contractual liability and these claims for bad faith failure to pay where they really do try to pay and they offer to pay their full limits but don't comply with all these other unreasonable conditions. I want to thank the Speaker for his leadership on this issue. He directed the parties to work on this, and this bill reflects a negotiated resolution of these issues between members of GTLA and their leadership and the defense bar. And I want to thank them because they have worked so hard on this all session long trying to come up with a resolution which is reflected to you in Senate Bill 83. So this is an effort to try to ensure that the insurance industry is protected, but yet there is still liability if they truly do exercise bad faith, but it tries to prevent people from trying to manufacture it unfairly against them. So again, many thanks to the parties for working on this and the Speaker for his leadership. And I want to thank Senator Jackson again for allowing us to use this bill as a vehicle. This is very important legislation, and this is not something that we felt we could wait until next year on. It's important to all of us that these issues be resolved. Mr. Speaker, I'll be glad to stand for any questions.
You do have a question. Representative Reese, to your left in the back, has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir, for breaking this bill. And isn't it true that what this bill is really doing is giving us clarity and precise instructions as attorneys as to what needs to be in this document so that all parties are on the same page and everyone's clear exactly what's happening with the settlement, which is what you should want. There shouldn't be any ambiguity in those type situations.
I should have let you do my well presentation for me, sir. Thank you.
Consider that sometime, sir.
I love it when lawyers get along. Let's see. Gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask your favorable consideration of Senate Bill 83. Thank you.
Gentleman has yielded well. Thank you for your explanation of a complicated subject. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to withdrawing the committee's substitute? The chair hears none. The committee's substitute is withdrawn. Is there any objection to adopting the substitute offered by the Committee on Rules? The chair hears none. The Rules Committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of Senate Bill 83, the yeas are 172. The nay is 1. This bill having received the requisite constitutional majority is therefore passed. Okay, members, hang with us a few more minutes. We're going to take up a couple of motions, have some announcements, and then we're going to break for lunch. For what purpose does Chairman Hawkins rise? Chairman Hawkins, you have a motion.
Thank you. Yeah. I move to recommit Senate Bill 198 back to rules.
Chairman Hawkins has moved that Senate Bill 198 be recommitted to the Rules Committee. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 198 to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 37 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to governing and regulation of mental health.
On the gentleman's motion that Senate Bill 198 be withdrawn from the calendar and recommitted to the Rules Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Franklin rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to recommit Senate Bill 384 back to rules.
Representative moves that Senate Bill 384 be recommitted to the Rules Committee. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 384 to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 19 to Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to labor practices relative to public officers and employees.
On the gentleman's motion that Senate Bill 384 be withdrawn from the calendar and recommitted to the Rules Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. For what purpose does Representative Hilton rise?
Make a motion.
State your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion to recommit Senate Bill 341 to rules.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
Senate Bill 341 to be entitled an act to amend various titles of the Official Code of Georgia annotated so as to revise committee names, to repeal provisions as relating to inactive boards.
On the gentleman's motion that Senate Bill 341 be withdrawn from the calendar and recommitted to the Rules Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. Okay, we'll have some announcements now. Information you'll need to be made aware of. Representative Alexander is recognized for an announcement. Representative Alexander.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Women Caucus will meet immediately upon adjournment in room 216. This is our final meeting. I'm hoping that we can see all the women there. We have the Women's Legislative Network of NCSL here today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Mitchell, recognized for an announcement.
The Democratic Caucus will meet in 30 minutes to allow the Women's Caucus to meet in room 605 in the CLOB. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman Collins. Chairman Collins recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Public Safety and Homeland Security Committee will meet just for a few minutes in 506 here upon the break. 506, to be a friend, you got to have friends, and we're going to try to make some friends at 506. Thank you.
All about friends. Representative Tyler Paul Smith is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a reminder to the whole House that Sine Die is Seersucker Day here, so if you're not a member of the Seersucker Caucus, come on in and join us. So just a reminder, Thursday, wear your seersucker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I heard they were endangered, but be careful. Chairman Williamson is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There will be a Majority Caucus lunch immediately upon the lunch break in room 403. A Majority Caucus lunch today.
Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
Honoring the life and memory of Thomas D. Moreland. Honoring the life and memory of Charles Nelson Brown. Honoring life and memory of Ricky Kittle. Honoring life and memory of Robert Edward Bob Knox Jr. honoring the life and memory of Dorothy Ruth Kitchen Hatcher, honoring the life and memory of Ira Jackson Sr., honoring the life and memory of Jeffrey Allen Duckworth Sr., honoring the life and memory of William Dion Hooks, honoring the life and memory of Tommy Lee Cummings Jr., honoring the life and memory of Dorothy Dot Meadows Knox, recognizing and commending Karen Renee on her outstanding public service, recognizing and commending Deborah Atney, recognizing and commending the Leadership Bryan class of 2024, recognizing the Ancient Egyptian Arabic Order, recognizing and commending Candy Burris, recognizing and commending Anawat McLaughlin, recognizing and commending Ellen Ector, congratulating the Elbert County United States Army Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps Program, congratulating and commending the American Lug Association upon its 100th anniversary, commending Karen Kennedy, Alexander High School's 2022-2023 Teacher of the Year, recognizing and commending Rex Camp, recognizing and commending E. Christopher Cornell, recognizing May 17, 2024 is recognizing February 20 of 2024 is National Epidemic and Global Pandemic Hair Loss Summit Day in Georgia, recommending Katie Jones, recognizing and commending Judge Laverne Ogletree, commending Eco Club Atlanta, recognizing and commending Tewa Aga Williams, congratulating and commending the Southeastern Carpenters Augusta Local 283, recognizing and commending Michael Glover, congratulating and commending Dr. Marion Ross Frederick, commending Morgan County Sheriff Robert Markley, honoring the Hellenic Studies Program of the Holy Transfiguration Greek Orthodox Church, recognizing, celebrating March 25th, 2024 as the 203rd anniversary of Greek Independence Day, honoring the Annunciation Day School of the Greek Orthodox Metropolis of Atlanta, recognizing and commending Apostle David Kinney, congratulating and commending the Georgia Alliance of Community Hospitals upon its 40th year anniversary, commending C&H Precision's dedication to the state of Georgia, congratulating the Decatur High School girls cross-country team for winning the 2023 GHSA State Cross Country Championship, recognizing and commending Coach Calvin Gibson, recognizing and commending Trey Dean on winning the Super Bowl, recognizing and commending Will Anderson Jr. on winning the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, recognizing April 29, 2024 as Community Activist Day, recognizing and commending the City of Sewanee, commending the Hebron Christian Lions Schools basketball team for winning the 2024 GHSA 3A State Girls Basketball Championship, recognizing and commending the Cobb County Police Department, recognizing and commending the Rotary Club of Paulding County, recognizing and commending the Leadership Southeast Georgia class of 2024, commending Scott Lord, South Paulding High School's 2024-2025 Teacher of the Year, recognizing October 7th through 11th, 2024 as Georgia Pre-K Week, recognizing and commending Chung-Hee Park, recognizing and commending Judith Martinez, recognizing and commending Presna Atlanta, recognizing and commending Jessica Merlo, and for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolution.
Mr. Clerk, I think you read one of those twice. Do you mind going back through them? Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. You may want to hear this next one so you'll know how to plan your afternoon. I'm going to say this first. This house is going to stand in recess until 1:30 p.m. House will be in recess to 1:30. That's for informational purposes right now. I'm going to recognize Chairman Parrish for an announcement. Chairman Parrish.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like for the members of the Rules Committee to please join me at 1:15. We'll have a little Rules Committee meeting, 1:15. Thank you.
Rules Committee, 1:15. This house will stand in recess until 1:30 p.m. 1:30.